in getting this filled. This is the last one you saw me do. And this one, and this one. This fellow was sketched after the photograph on this one. Mary Ann had a question. She wanted to know if I ever sketched with pencil. And the answer is yes, I do, but I haven't in this little book of faces. This little book of faces is being done entirely in ink, and lately I've been using a Sharpie pen and the R2 ink pen. So I'm going to continue doing this entire little book of faces in ink. However, Mary Ann's question was a good one, so I resketched this man, again offline. What do you think? And I sketched it in pencil. I have these Prismacolor drawing pencils. I have a 6B, a 4B, and a 2B. They cost me about $1.39. Of course, I have the Prismacolor pencil sharpener. And I saw a video, I can't even tell you where I saw it. It might have been on the Prismacolor site about sharpening a pencil. I'll go look, and if it's there, I'll put a link. But when you sharpen your pencils, you don't turn the pencil this way. You turn the pencil sharpener. So, and that will sharpen your pencil. That's the proper way to sharpen a pencil. Now, I did this entire sketch with the 6B pencil. I want to talk about it a little bit. You can see how I got 6B is a very soft lead, 4B is a little bit harder, and 2B is harder yet. Only they're all soft lead pencils. If you want to get into a hard lead pencil, you go into the H series in drawing pencils. It's fairly common knowledge among artists. But I'm going to use the 6B again. I wanted to show this to you, how I was able to achieve a lot of dark around this mustache and his eyebrows. I think the features on this fellow that really make him distinct are his high forehead, and I love the arch in his eyebrow here, and his mustache, and of course the bow tie. The ear is a good study. I did not really concentrate on the ear here, but I thought I would do some sketching. This is just a pad of paper that I bought. Bought it at the local department store. It's probably just copy paper. It's a fairly thin paper. It's not really drawing paper. But I'm going to do, it works well for these sketches, for pencil sketches. I'm going to do some more sketching. I'm going to kind of talk about what I'm thinking about again. Let's see if I can zoom in just a little. Now, I like the high forehead here, but with a pencil, and I'm only going to use the 6B again. I do think I get enough of the tonal values. Right now, I am not smudging anything. I'm not blending any of the lead. This lead is soft enough that it can be blended, but my lead of the 6B is also soft enough that I can achieve a lighter tone just by not pressing as hard and not darkening it. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was I'm still not using an eraser. You can use an eraser with your drawings. I've practically don't unless I've totally messed it up. And if you totally mess it up, there's always another page. There's always another blank page. And I think I achieved a really good likeness of him here, even without an eraser. But here again, I've sketched him several times. The more you sketch a face, the more you'll be acquainted with what the features are, what you want to emphasize, what the proportions are. And that may be why I'm finally getting to a really good likeness of this fellow. You can see the difference here. Let's go back to this one. You can see the difference here between him being sketched with an ink pen and him being sketched with a drawing pencil. With the ink pen, you get your tonal values either by cross-hatching, as I did in here, or by applying a lot of ink to make it darker, or going really light with your pen to get the lighter shades. With a pencil, because you're using a soft lead, it is a lot easier to get the tonal values. So I'm just going to sketch a few things while you're watching. I can even see on here, I can see the impression. I can see the impression of where I sketched with this fellow. And I might just follow that. I don't know if you can see the lines here or not. I can see them. So I can see I made his forehead right in here. He has this arch of his eyebrow. His skull probably has that protruding bone right there. And just very lightly with the pencil, I'm sketching his cheek area. His eyes fall in here. Now I can just come in, and here again, I'm not using my eraser. I'm just kind of putting in some tone in here with the side of my pencil here. You can draw with the tip of your pencil and get a line, but you get these tonal values by the side of your pencil. Now I'm just going to kind of shape in his eyeball here. And if you notice on the nose, see if I can get it up close to you here. The nose, the nostril is not right at the bottom of the nose. The nose, there's a portion of the nose that actually falls underneath of the nostril. You see right in here, there's a portion of that nose, that skin that falls right underneath of the. On some photographs, you can really tell it here, and then see how this portion of the bottom portion of his nose kind of comes this way, and his nostril is really up a little. And what makes this man distinctive is, of course, his mustache. Now notice on his eyeball, I just put in just a suggestion of his eyeball. I usually go back in, and he's got a well-defined eye, and he's got a line here for his eyelid. But I usually go back in and darken in his eyeball. It gives him a personality, I think. And of course, his eyebrows give him personality on this fellow. And then this arched eyebrow gives him some personality. So you can see I've already achieved a personality for this man's face. It's already starting to. And I haven't even drawn his entire head yet. So you could almost put in a suggestion of an eye here, suggestion of an ear here, maybe a little hairline there, and call this finished. But I'm going to continue on. Now I'm not using an eraser, and if I make a mistake, I just kind of blend that mistake in with the rest of my drawing. And it's okay to erase. I'm not saying never erase. I'm just saying sometimes it's you see a mistake and you want to immediately correct it and erase it, and sometimes it's really not all that necessary. And sometimes it is. You kind of have to, you're the artist, you have to do what you want on your drawing. And he's got a hint of, I can see it here, a hint right in there of the shape of his head that shapes his forehead. Comes down and it's got a hairline in here. Now see how I'm using the flat portion of my pencil again? You can get a nice contrast between dark lines and lighter toner values. That's one advantage in sketching with a pencil over a pen. I was thinking as I was doing this one that it might be fun to mix pen and ink, and I might do that later on. Now see, he's got a little darkened hairline up here. That's what I'm putting up here. The head coming down this way. Let's go ahead and put in this eye, which would fall right in here. And I just kind of lightly sketch it in, and then I go back and define it. His eyebrow almost touches the upper eyelid here. And I don't always get that in my drawings. It's something I'm still working on. Put in the roundness of his eyeball there. Put in some shading. Now we know his nose is three-dimensional, so we put some shading in here, even though it's kind of hard to see it on the photograph. In some darker area there. You see, I skip around when I'm sketching. Sometimes I'll work on the eye, and then I'll go down and I'll work on the mustache, and then I'll come back up here and work on this eye. It's just where my mind takes me as I'm looking at the photograph. Now, did you see how I used a light line there? And I'm actually using the tip of my lead. His cheek comes down, mustache comes around this way. And the shadow here, I could be using the okay, and then he's got a cheekbone over here. Again, this is a vintage photograph. So we're seeing this man in the sense that the photographer at that time, using the equipment that he had, was able to catch the features of this fellow. So we don't have a lot of extreme definition, but I do know he has a fairly high cheekbone because I can see some shadow in there. And he's got some shadow here underneath of his neck. Let's put in the lower lip area. Got some shadow defining the chin. See, I'm using the edge of my pencil again just to lightly blend in some shadow, some shading. And then he's got a neckline. Now, I pointed out before when I sketched this man that the bottom of his ear, the way his head is slightly tilted at a 5 or 10 degree angle looking up that way, the bottom of his ear does not fall in line with the bottom of his nose. It falls more with the top of his upper lip. So if I wanted to put in the ear, I know his upper lip comes here, so the bottom of his ear would come maybe even a little bit lower, right in here. Now see, I was not completely happy with this nostril, so I did not erase it. I just kind of blended in. Of course, his mustache, when I get to working with his mustache, will will take care of a lot of that. Putting in the eyebrows. A lot of shading up around in his eye area here. A lot of shading. Very defined. His eye socket kind of falls down this way, so some more shading in there. And then his hairline falls right in here. And then I'm just going to hint at the ear. The ear would be a good study. I seem to work my drawing, because I start over this way, I seem to work the drawing on all of these to where the ear starts going to the edge of the paper, which isn't a bad thing. It just happens as I sketch it. It's got some hair here falling behind his ear, down his neck. Helps define the ear. You see, now I'm back using the tip of my pencil instead of the blunt edge of it. If I want to shade here for his neckline, falls down in here. Got a very defined, crisp white collar that I use, again, the point of my lead. And by doing that, I'm giving a contrast of lines, which I probably want to do in here too. Make his mustache really dark. So it's his high forehead here. And his arched eyebrows and his mustache that I think really define this fellow. I'll give him a little bit more hair here. You don't have to put in all the hair if you don't want. It's kind of up to you what you want to do when you're sketching. Got kind of like a little cowlick there. Now I'm going to put in his collar here, his bow tie, very dark. So, drawing these faces over several times is really a good exercise to do. Don't expect perfection at first unless you consider yourself a genius. Not that there aren't any out there, but in his bow tie here. Put in a soft line here using the side edge of my lead. I'm still using a 6B. Put in his jacket because it's really fabric. Your jacket is a fabric material. kind of gives him some definition. Got a little more definition of his hairline in here. Work a little bit more on the ear. The ear on this photograph is well defined. It'd make a good study. Blow it up and make a photocopy of it with a blown up image. A very dark area here behind his ear. We need to work on his mouth area a little bit more. Now see, here's where I really wanted to erase, but I'm going to just kind of blend this in. Give him some more shade in here. So I've sketched him several times now. Each one takes on his personality, but you'll just get a different feel for the sketch in each drawing. Really, this is a reference photo. I am not trying to do a portrait drawing to where it looks like the photo. We have the photo. We know what he looks like. This is just a reference photo. If I were going to use the face of a man in a painting or something, I may not even care that it looks like him or not. He may just be a man standing in a crowd. So, my purpose of doing this was to do a sketch with a pencil instead of the ink, to show you how you can use some of the tonal values. But note, I still did not use an eraser. I would encourage you to put your eraser away for a while. Forget about the mistakes. Don't worry about them. Like I said, there's always the next page. And I will see you on the next page.